A man of God, revered by his congregation, hiding a deadly secret. Reverend Ethan Bennett, a 40-year-old gay preacher, strangled his lover Marcus Reed to death in a fit of rage and fear. Why? To stop a blackmail scheme that threatened to expose their hidden relationship and shatter his life forever. This is the chilling true story of betrayal, hypocrisy, and murder. As we delve into this case, it's hard not to reflect on the fragility of human facades. Ethan Bennett preached love and redemption from the pulpit every Sunday, yet behind closed doors, he lived a double life fraught with deception and desperation. This story isn't just about a murder, it's a stark reminder of how societal pressures and personal secrets can drive even the most seemingly pious individuals to unimaginable acts. In a world where acceptance is preached but not always practiced, Bennett's downfall exposes the dark underbelly of hidden identities and the lethal consequences of silence. Before we dive deeper into this gripping tale, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on these in-depth crime stories. Like this video if you're ready to uncover the truth, and share it with a friend who loves true crime. Let's get started. Ethan Bennett was born and raised in the tight-knit community of Elmwood, Georgia, where the church was the heartbeat of the town. Growing up in a devout Baptist household, Ethan was steeped in scripture from an early age. His parents, pillars of their local congregation, nurtured his spiritual fervor, seeing in him a divine calling. By the time he was 18, Ethan stood before the Elmwood Baptist Church, delivering his first sermon with a voice that resonated with conviction and a presence that held the room captive. His ability to weave scripture with relatable storytelling marked him as a prodigy in the eyes of the congregation. Determined to pursue his calling, enrolled in a renowned theological seminary after high school. He threw himself into his studies, excelling in biblical exegesis and pastoral leadership. His professors noted his sharp intellect and magnetic charisma, qualities that set him apart. After graduating with honors, Ethan took his first pastoral position at a small church in Atlanta. His sermons, blending fiery conviction with heartfelt empathy, quickly drew larger crowds. Word of the young preacher's talent spread, and within a few years, he caught the attention of a much larger congregation. At 27, Ethan was appointed lead pastor of Grace Community Church in Savannah, a prominent institution with over 1,000 members. The role was a significant leap, placing him at the helm of a thriving spiritual community. His sermons became the talk of the city, focusing on themes of redemption, family values, and steadfast moral integrity. Ethan often spoke passionately against what he called the moral decay of modern society, urging his flock to resist temptation and uphold traditional values. His eloquence and commanding presence made him a beloved figure, with congregants hanging on his every word. Women in the church whispered about his charm and good looks, while men admired his unwavering commitment to faith. Yet, beneath this polished exterior, Ethan carried a heavy secret. Since his teenage years, he had grappled with his attraction to men, a truth he buried deep within himself. The conservative culture of his upbringing and the expectations of his profession left no room for such an identity. To maintain appearances, he occasionally dated women, charming them with dinners and polite conversation, but never pursued anything serious. When pressed about his bachelorhood, he deflected with humor, claiming he was married to the church. The facade held, but the internal conflict gnawed at him, creating a chasm between the man he presented to the world and the one he hid from view. In his mid-30s, Ethan's carefully constructed life began to intersect with a new figure, Marcus Reed. A 35-year-old graphic designer from Atlanta, Marcus was everything Ethan was not: openly gay, unapologetically authentic, and free from the constraints of religious expectations. They met through a discreet online app designed for LGBTQ+ individuals seeking private connections. What started as a tentative encounter quickly deepened into a passionate, albeit clandestine, relationship. Marcus, with his artistic spirit and bold confidence, brought a spark of joy to Ethan's otherwise tightly controlled world. Their meetings were confined to hotel rooms or Marcus's Atlanta apartment, far from the prying eyes of Savannah. Marcus challenged Ethan in ways he hadn't anticipated. He pushed him to confront his hypocrisy, to consider living openly as his true self. For Ethan, this was unthinkable. His entire life, his career, his reputation, his influence, rested on the illusion of heterosexuality. The tension between his love for Marcus and his fear of exposure became a constant source of torment. Marcus, meanwhile, grew increasingly frustrated with being Ethan's secret, longing for a relationship that didn't require shadows. Despite these personal struggles, Ethan's public life soared. At Grace Community Church, he expanded outreach efforts, launching food drives, youth mentorship programs, and community counseling sessions. His initiative strengthened the church's role as a cornerstone of Savannah. He also penned a book, Path to Purity, Overcoming Temptation in a Fallen World, which became a bestseller among Christian readers. The royalties allowed him to purchase a spacious home in a quiet Savannah suburb, a sanctuary where he and Marcus could steal moments together. But the secrecy took its toll. Marcus's impatience grew, and the once passionate connection began to fray under the weight of unspoken expectations and hidden truths. This volatile dynamic would soon set the stage for a devastating confrontation. Ethan Bennett and Marcus Reed's relationship, born in the shadows of secrecy, spanned 5 tumultuous years. Their connection, sparked through a discreet online app, evolved from cautious encounters to a deep, complicated bond. They met in carefully chosen hideaways, hotel rooms booked under false names, Marcus's modest Atlanta apartment, or, on rare occasions, Ethan's suburban Savannah home when he was certain no one would notice. For Ethan, a 40-year-old preacher whose life revolved around his public image at Grace Community Church, these stolen moments with Marcus were both a lifeline and a liability. Marcus, a 35-year-old graphic designer, brought a vibrancy that contrasted sharply with Ethan's tightly controlled existence. Openly gay and fiercely independent, Marcus lived unapologetically, a trait that both drew Ethan in and intensified his fears. Marcus Reed had carved out a stable life in Atlanta. Working for a mid-sized advertising firm, he earned a comfortable living designing bold campaigns for local businesses. His confidence and creativity made him a standout, but his personal life had been marked by failed relationships before Ethan. With Ethan, Marcus found a depth of passion he hadn't expected, but it came at a cost. Being the hidden lover of a prominent pastor meant constant discretion. Never holding hands in public, never sharing a casual dinner, never being acknowledged as more than a friend in passing. At first, Marcus accepted the secrecy, understanding the constraints of Ethan's world. But as their relationship deepened, the weight of being invisible grew unbearable. Ethan, desperate to keep Marcus close, showered him with affection and gifts. He bought Marcus an expensive watch, designer clothes, and even a sleek new car to replace Marcus's aging sedan. These gestures were as much about love as they were about maintaining control, ensuring Marcus's loyalty in a relationship that demanded silence. Marcus, however, wasn't content to be placated. He began to challenge Ethan, urging him to confront his double life. "You can't preach truth on Sunday and live a lie every other day," Marcus would say during their heated late-night talks. Ethan, torn between his feelings and his fear of losing everything, his congregation, his reputation, his identity as a man of God, resisted. He pleaded with Marcus to be patient, promising change that he knew he couldn't deliver. The turning point came during a bitter argument in Marcus's apartment. Frustrated by Ethan's refusal to come out, Marcus recorded a video on his phone. In it, a visibly emotional Ethan admitted to their relationship and his hidden sexuality, his voice cracking under the weight of his confession. Marcus didn't initially plan to use the recording, but as their fights grew more frequent, he began to wield it as leverage. He demanded that Ethan either live openly with him or face exposure. To drive the point home, Marcus threatened to send the video to the elders of Grace Community Church and local media unless Ethan paid him $100,000 and stepped down from his pastoral role. Ethan, cornered and terrified, agreed to pay. He wired $20,000 from his personal savings, followed by monthly installments of $5,000, draining the royalties from his best-selling book. But Marcus's demands escalated. He wanted more than money, he wanted Ethan to leave the church entirely and build a life together. Ethan refused, insisting his calling was non-negotiable. The relationship spiraled into a toxic cycle of arguments, reconciliations, and renewed threats. Marcus's texts grew sharper, warning that the video would end everything if Ethan didn't comply. In Ethan's quiet Savannah neighborhood, observant neighbors began to notice irregularities. Elena Thompson, a retiree living across the street, saw a man matching Marcus's description visiting Ethan's home late at night on multiple occasions. When she casually asked Ethan about it, he brushed it off, claiming the visitor was a troubled soul seeking pastoral counseling. The excuse held, but suspicion lingered. By mid-2023, the tension reached a breaking point. Marcus, fed up with half-promises, arrived unannounced at Ethan's home one evening. He demanded the full $100,000 and an end to the secrecy, threatening to release the video immediately. The confrontation erupted in Ethan's living room, words turning to shouts. Overwhelmed by fear, rage, and desperation, Ethan snapped. In a moment that would shatter both their lives, he grabbed Marcus by the throat, intending to silence his threats. What followed was a fatal act that neither man could have foreseen. On the night of the tragedy, Ethan Bennett called 911 from his Savannah home, his voice trembling as he reported a shocking discovery. He claimed he'd returned from a church meeting to find an intruder dead in his house after a struggle. Savannah Police Department officers arrived at 9:50 p.m. and found Marcus Reed's body in the living room, his neck marred by dark bruises and his eyes showing the red petechial marks of strangulation. The scene looked staged, furniture toppled, a window broken, and valuables like Ethan's laptop and watch gone. Ethan, appearing shaken, told officers he'd acted in self-defense, fighting off an unknown assailant. He insisted he didn't recognize the man on his floor. Detective Laura Bennett, a veteran investigator known for her sharp intuition, led the case. She quickly spotted holes in Ethan's story. The shattered window had glass inside, suggesting it was broken from within, not by an intruder. Marcus was unarmed, and the door showed no signs of forced entry. The autopsy confirmed manual strangulation, with defensive scratches on Marcus's hands and Ethan's DNA under his fingernails, indicating a desperate fight for survival. Bennett's team pressed deeper. They found Marcus's phone in a trash bin in Ethan's backyard, a sloppy attempt to hide evidence. The phone revealed a trove of incriminating texts between Marcus and Ethan, exposing a volatile relationship. Marcus had threatened to reveal their affair unless Ethan paid $100,000. Bank records backed this up, showing a $20,000 wire transfer from Ethan, followed by monthly $5,000 payments. A video on Marcus's cloud storage sealed the case, Ethan, visibly distraught, confessing their relationship and his hidden sexuality, recorded during a heated argument. Investigators explored Marcus's life. A respected graphic designer in Atlanta, he had no criminal record and lived openly as a gay man, a stark contrast to Ethan's closeted existence. Friends, like Carla Simmons, shared that Marcus was frustrated with his secretive partner, once saying, "He's got too much to lose, but I'm tired of hiding." This painted a picture of a man pushed to his breaking point. Ethan's narrative crumbled. Neighbor Elena Thompson confirmed seeing a man matching Marcus's description at Ethan's home multiple times, undermining his claim of a random intruder. Church financial records revealed irregularities, suggesting Ethan's diverted funds, possibly to meet Marcus's demands. During interrogation, Bennett confronted Ethan with the texts and video. He stuck to his self-defense story at first but faltered, admitting he knew Marcus and claiming the death was an accidental result of an argument. 5 days after the murder, Ethan was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The news rocked Savannah. Grace Community Church, where Ethan had been a beloved pastor, grappled with shock and betrayal. Parishioner Robert Ellis voiced the congregation's pain. "He was our guide, but he lived a double life." The church members labeling Ethan a hypocrite who killed to protect his secrets. Anonymous former lovers came forward, describing discreet encounters, further exposing his hidden life. Prosecutor Emily Vargas took the case, crafting a case of premeditated murder fueled by blackmail. The evidence was ironclad: DNA, financial transactions, the video, and the staged crime scene. Defense attorney Michael Lang prepared to argue that Ethan acted in a moment of panic, not with intent, but the evidence stacked heavily against him. As the case moved toward trial, Ethan's carefully built world collapsed, his secrets exposed under the harsh light of truth. The trial of Reverend Ethan Bennett I began in Chatham County Superior Court, presided over by Judge Helena Ruiz. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation, packed with people, and stunned members of Grace Community Church. The case, dubbed the "Preacher Blackmail Murder," had gripped Savannah and beyond, with every detail of Ethan's double life dissected in the media. Prosecuting the case was Emily Vargas, a sharp and relentless attorney determined to prove premeditated murder. Defending Ethan was Michael Lang, a seasoned lawyer known for tackling high-profile cases with a focus on emotional appeals. Vargas opened with a bombshell: the video Marcus Reed had recorded, played for the jury in stark silence. In it, Ethan's voice trembled as he admitted to their secret relationship and his fear of exposure, his face a mask of anguish. The prosecution painted a clear picture: Ethan, cornered by Marcus's blackmail demands, lured him to his home with the intent to silence him permanently. Vargas called key witnesses to build her case. Forensic experts testified about the strangulation marks and Ethan's DNA under Marcus's fingernails, confirming a prolonged, violent struggle. Bank officials detailed the $20,000 wire transfer and subsequent $5,000 payments, evidence of Marcus's extortion and Ethan's desperation. Neighbor Elena Thompson recounted seeing Marcus at Ethan's home multiple times, debunking the intruder story. Detective Laura Bennett took the stand, describing the investigation's turning points: the staged crime scene, the incriminating texts, and the phone recovered from Ethan's trash. She recounted his interrogation, where Ethan's self-defense claim faltered under pressure. He admitted to the relationship but insisted the killing was unintentional, a moment of panic during an argument. Vargas countered this, arguing that the staged burglary, complete with a broken window and missing valuables, showed calculated intent to cover up a deliberate act. The defense leaned heavily on Ethan's emotional state. Lang portrayed him as a man trapped by societal expectations, tormented by internalized homophobia and Marcus's escalating threats. A psychologist testified about the psychological toll of living a closeted life in a conservative religious world, suggesting Ethan's actions were a spontaneous outburst, not premeditated murder. Lang called character witnesses from Grace Community Church, who described Ethan's kindness and dedication, hoping to humanize him. In a risky move, Ethan took the stand. Sobbing, he recounted his love for Marcus and the paralyzing fear of losing his life's work. "I didn't mean to kill him," he said. "I just wanted him to stop." Vargas dismantled this in her cross-examination, pressing Ethan on why he didn't seek help or leave the relationship if it was so toxic. She highlighted the financial payments and the staged scene as proof of intent, not panic. In closing, Vargas argued that Ethan chose murder over honesty, valuing his reputation over Marcus's life. Lang pleaded for a lesser charge of manslaughter, emphasizing Ethan's lack of prior violence and the pressure of blackmail. After 6 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for 18 grueling hours. The verdict came down: guilty of second-degree murder. The courtroom erupted in murmurs as Ethan bowed his head, tears streaming. At sentencing, Judge Ruiz delivered a 25-year sentence, with parole eligibility after 15 years. She called the crime a tragic betrayal of trust, noting the pain inflicted on Marcus's family and the church community. Ethan was transferred to Georgia State Prison, where he now leads Bible studies for fellow inmates. His appeal, citing emotional distress, is pending but faces long odds. Grace Community Church struggled in the aftermath, with attendance plummeting. A new pastor, Reverend Lisa Grant, stepped in, focusing on healing and inclusivity. The trial left an indelible mark on Savannah, exposing the devastating consequences of secrets and the clash between personal truth and public persona. The conviction of Reverend Ethan Bennett sent ripples far beyond the courtroom, reshaping lives and sparking heated discussions across Savannah and beyond. Once a revered figure at Grace Community Church, Ethan's fall from grace was swift and unforgiving. His best-selling book, Path to Purity, Overcoming Temptation in a Fallen World, was pulled from shelves as publishers distanced themselves from the scandal. The royalties that had once funded his comfortable lifestyle dried up, and his suburban Savannah home was sold at auction to cover legal fees. His parents, devastated by their son's actions and the public humiliation, issued a brief statement expressing sorrow but offered no further contact. Ethan, now isolated, became a pariah in the community he once led. Marcus Reed's family was left grappling with profound loss. His sister, Angela Reed, became their voice, channeling grief into advocacy. She filed a civil lawsuit against Ethan for wrongful death, winning a $2 million judgment, though collecting it proved difficult given Ethan's depleted finances. In interviews, Angela spoke of Marcus's vibrant spirit and his struggle to love someone unwilling to live openly. Marcus deserved a life out loud, she said, not to be silenced forever. The family created a scholarship in Marcus's name for aspiring LGBTQ+ artists, ensuring his legacy endured in a way Ethan's never would. Grace Community Church faced its own reckoning. Attendance dropped by nearly 40% as parishioners struggled with betrayal and disillusionment. Some, like longtime member Robert Ellis, left entirely, unable to reconcile their trust in Ethan with his actions. Others stayed, seeking to rebuild under Reverend Lisa Grant, who emphasized inclusivity and transparency in her sermons. She introduced programs to support marginalized groups, including LGBTQ+ members, in a bid to heal the church's fractured community. The scandal forced a painful introspection, with many questioning how they had missed the signs of Ethan's double life. The case ignited broader conversations about the intersection of religion, sexuality, and hypocrisy. Advocacy groups like GLAAD seized on the tragedy to highlight the dangers of forcing LGBTQ+ individuals into the closet, particularly in conservative religious settings. Protests outside Grace Community Church called for greater acceptance, with signs reading, "Love is not a sin." Opinion pieces flooded local and national media, debating whether the church's rigid expectations had pushed Ethan to his breaking point or if his actions were solely a personal failing. The story became a touchstone for discussions about authenticity, with some arguing that a more inclusive environment might have prevented the tragedy. From Georgia State Prison, Ethan penned letters expressing remorse. "I betrayed my faith, my love, and myself," he wrote in one, shared by a prison ministry group. Rumors swirled about a potential memoir, but no publisher has yet taken the risk. His Bible studies with inmates have become his new pulpit, though his influence is a shadow of what it once was. Meanwhile, Marcus's friends and family hold annual vigils in Atlanta, celebrating his life and advocating for others to live openly without fear. The tragedy of Ethan and Marcus exposed the devastating cost of living inauthentically. It challenged communities to confront their biases and sparked a call for empathy in places where judgment often reigns. While justice was served in the courtroom, the broader wounds, of a family grieving, a church divided, and a society wrestling with its values, linger as a stark reminder of the consequences when truth is buried too deep. The story of Reverend Ethan Bennett and Marcus Reed is a haunting tale of love, betrayal, and the devastating cost of living a lie. Ethan, a charismatic preacher who built his life on the image of moral purity, crumbled under the weight of his hidden truth. His decision to strangle Marcus, driven by fear of exposure, not only ended a life but shattered a community that trusted him. Marcus, vibrant and unapologetic, became a tragic casualty of a relationship bound by secrecy and desperation. The trial brought justice, with Ethan's 25-year sentence reflecting the gravity of his actions, but it couldn't erase the pain left behind. For Marcus's family, for Grace Community Church, or for a society forced to confront uncomfortable truths about acceptance and hypocrisy. This case serves as a sobering reminder that suppressing one's identity can lead to catastrophic consequences, urging us all to foster a world where authenticity doesn't come at such a deadly price. Thank you for joining me on this 2-hour journey through one of Savannah's most shocking crimes. What do you think drove Ethan to such an extreme act? Societal pressures, personal cowardice, or something else entirely? And how can communities prevent tragedies like this in the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one and might highlight some in my next video. If this deep dive into the Ethan Bennett case gripped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime stories that unravel the complexities of human nature. Share this video with friends who love a compelling narrative, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Until next time, keep seeking the truth and stay safe.